He says we are fearfully and wonderfully made, full of majesty as the work of God. In verse 15, he says, my frame was not hidden from thee. King James says, my substance, literally my strength, my bones and my sinews and my muscles. It was not hidden from you when I was made in secret. The secret place is the womb. And then in verse 15, that interesting phrase, and skillfully wrought in the depths of the earth. Literally, skillfully wrought in the Hebrew could be translated, when I was interwoven of various colored threads. When I was interwoven of various colored threads. To put it another way, when you embroidered me, you made the very fabric. You pulled together every tiny little piece, and you wove it all to make me. It's a beautiful picture of the complicated, elaborate texture of the human being. And you did it in the depths of the earth, the reference to the womb. You can compare Isaiah 45:19 for similar usage. Verse 16, thine eyes have seen my unformed substance, my unshaped embryonic substance. Literally, again in the Hebrew, something rolled together. When I was just a little ball of life, when I was just a little ball of chromosomes, and in your book, they were all written. All my days, all my years, all the events of my life, my eternal destiny, everything. And then in verse 17, he says, how precious also are thy thoughts to me, O God, how vast is the sum of them. It's so incredible to think about you thinking about me before I was ever made. And the whole thing behind this is this sense that this creation is so wonderful and so awesome because it is a creation in the very image of God. That image has been marred. In Psalm 51, we read something of that marring of the image. Psalm 51:5. Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me. Now, he doesn't mean he was illegitimately conceived, because he wasn't, David speaking. He simply means that from my conception there was something else going on in me too, and it's sin. Did God create that sin? No. I believe that we pass on the sin. God only creates the eternality, the eternal soul and spirit. Only a person, by the way, can be a sinner. That little tiny life, that little tiny baby, that little tiny rolled up ball of genetics, that little fetus is already designated as a sinner in the womb from conception. And only a person is a sinner. So we are created in the image of God, which image is stained by the sin of Adam, passed on from generation to generation. And so we can say that that eternal soul is the creation of God, but its sinful propensity is the legacy of man. No human being then is ever conceived outside God's will, or ever conceived apart from God's image. Life is a gift from God, created in His own image. Thirdly, in considering points to understand the issue, the helpless creation is the special object of God's loving care. That helpless creation which He has conceived in the womb of a woman is the special object of His loving care. First of all, I want to deal with that on a general level, if I might. We have now seen that that little life is considered a person, albeit a person created by God in His own image and yet a sinner. That person then becomes the special object of God's care. The Lord identifies with sinners. The Lord identifies with the needy. The Lord identifies with the poor. The Lord identifies with the widow. The Lord identifies with the orphan. The Lord identifies with the defenseless. In Psalm 82, we find a general reference to that, which can be a basis for our understanding. In Psalm 82, verse 3, vindicate the weak and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and destitute, rescue the weak and needy. It is true that God has a special concern for the helpless. Is anyone more helpless? Is anyone weaker? Is anyone more defenseless than that unborn child? And so they, as all others who are weak and defenseless, become the special care of God. I don't have time to go over all of the medical phenomenon that protects the baby in the womb, but it is absolutely incredible how wonderfully God has insulated that little life for warmth and health and safety. How He has designed the womb of the mother to be a protector. I will never forget when Patricia was pregnant with one of our little ones. And I'm trying to remember which. I think it was Mark. Yes, it was Mark. I have to associate kids with certain houses. And remember which house this happened in. And one day I came home from wherever I was, and I came in the house, and she was lying in bed, and she was not feeling well. And I said, "What happened?" And she said, "Well, I fell off the television." I said, "You what?" She said, "I fell off the television." Now, that is a strange place to be in the first place, on the television. We had a little portable television sitting on a little metal rack, and she climbed it to fix the drapes, and she fell. We had a concrete floor covered with just a sheet of linoleum tile in this little room. And she said, the worst of it is I landed right on the baby, and she had a huge bruise right in the center of her stomach. And she said, "I know, don't give me any speeches about you're not supposed to be climbing on top of the television when you're 9 months pregnant." And she was. Mark was born soon after. Now, the reason I hesitated to name the child is because you may be looking at Mark oddly in the future and imagining that something might have happened, but it didn't. And we were thrilled because from then on until Mark was born, we wondered if indeed there would be some result. And we were, after he was born, thrilled to see, with all of her weight falling full on concrete on that little life, how perfectly protected that little one was. God has such compassion on the helpless. I remember reading some years back about a lady that I got to know, a lady that some of you remember. Her name was Ethel Waters. And when she was a real instrument for the Lord, giving her testimony, she shared a wonderful little story. She said a pretty black girl was attacked and raped by a white man in Pennsylvania. She was barely past her 13th birthday and soon was found pregnant. And Ethel Waters said, "No. Abortion? No. Instead, a healthy baby girl who came to love Christ and sing for His glory and make millions happy. A girl whose theme song was, 'His eye is on the sparrow,' and that girl was me." The love shown to a helpless little baby without a father, born because a mother wouldn't have abortion, gave the world a wonderful gift. That's